So we do have a lot of dogs that come through here. A lot of dogs that need behavior problems, or behavior modification, but a lot of dogs also that don't need any behavior modification. They all still get play groups. Um, every dog for us is an individual. Every dog is assessed and treated as an individual. What they look like doesn't affect any of that. I actually had another shelter that just expanded and they're starting all these new programs. I believe they're in Arizona, but they sent me a message and they were like, can we have everything that you do that's special for pit bull type dogs? What assessment do you do for dogs that look like pit bulls that's different? What enrichment do you do for dogs that look like pit bulls that's different? And I sent them back our standard operating procedures for assessments and for enrichment because we don't identify breed. So we are firm believers that visual breed identification is scientifically unreliable. And when we take a guess, we are wrong more than 75% of the time. And guessing at the breed doesn't tell us anything about how that dog is going to behave once they're out of the shelter. So it doesn't serve the clients. It may even give them a false sense of who that dog might be, regardless of what the breed is. If they have some preconceived notion about how a border collie is going to behave, or how a golden retriever is going to behave, or how a chihuahua is going to behave, and they're expecting that because this particular dog looks that way, it's unfair to the dog. So we would much rather coach our clients and our adopters on assessing the individual traits of the dog, discussing the history of the dog that we know, what we've seen here at the shelter, how we think, how we guess things are going to go in the home based on how things went in a previous home, how things went in a foster home, how they've gone here at the shelter. So we really have those individual conversations with our adopters and with our clients about how to really address each dog as an individual and not kind of take those preconceived ideas into it about how a dog is going to behave just because they look a certain way. So that being said, all of our dogs that are available for adoption, there are cards that the clients can look at, all say mixed breed, because we simply don't know. If we have a DNA test, we will list the DNA breeds that have come up. If we have papers from the AKC and a pedigree, we will list the pedigreed breeds. And those are the two times that we will list a breed. Otherwise, we're taking a guess and we just don't know. So we do provide the same adoption follow-up support to any dog that's adopted from us, regardless of size, regardless of breed. There are, of course, stigmas in the community for dogs that look a certain way, and we recognize that. So we try to do everything that we can to set our adopters up for success, to set our training clients up for success, to make sure that they really understand the behaviors that previous owners have had or the behaviors that we've seen here in the shelter, and that they really feel comfortable with addressing those behaviors in the home. Generally, there's no quick fix for something like on-leash reactivity or barrier reactivity or resource guarding or house training. None of those things can be quick. Like, if there was a magic pill, I would be rich. But it just doesn't exist. So it's a matter of really working through those issues with the adopter, with the client, and making sure that they really understand that things may take time and that the behavior that we see in the shelter is generally not that predictive of what we're going to see in a home. Because once the dog forms a relationship and forms a bond with a new adopter, with a new family, their behavior can change in ways that we could never predict, because relationship means everything and it can't be measured. So we have to kind of tell it with a grain of salt, you know? Even if we know how they were in a previous home, we can't necessarily predict 100% how they're going to be in the new home, because that relationship that they form is going to affect that. So that's why we really want to be there for adopters after the fact. We really want to be available to provide that follow-up support. We do one-on-one training with them. We offer private training classes to them. We offer them to the general public as well, but we have classes that sort of run the gamut for everything that someone might need. We have on-leash reactivity classes where they get to really practice building a foundation of replacement behaviors and behaviors that you really want out of your dog, as opposed to that barking and lunging and Tasmanian devil type behavior on leash, right? We don't want that behavior out of our dogs, regardless of size or breed or look or anything like that. It's not pleasant to walk a dog like that down the street. So we really teach folks how to reinforce those replacement behaviors that are incompatible with that barking and lunging and spinning and all of that stuff. And we help them really address that so that they're then able to have a much better experience when they're walking their dog. So yeah, we don't do a lot that is breed specific. It's really about each individual dog. And I find that even if I have a bunch of dogs that come in that look similar, they're all going to be different. They're all going to need something specific to that particular dog. They're all going to learn a little bit different. So we really have to be flexible and adaptable with our methods, with our training tools, with what's going to work best with that particular dog. The Longmont Humane Society training program is a balanced training program. We are Quickers to remote collars. We will use any tool, any technique, any method to get to rewardable behavior, because every dog learns differently. Every dog needs something a little different. You have dogs that come in that are pancakes, that won't take treats, that if you are within 10 feet of them, it's terrifying and horrible. And so there's nothing rewardable that I have in this environment, in that moment, that I can give them other than relief from me and this environment. So how do I do that for those dogs without getting them out of their kennel? So getting them around other dogs, letting them have social time and play time might be the way to address that. Other times we're dealing with dogs that are just massive pullers and should really be in a weight pull competition. And so we have staff and volunteers who are tiny little people. So we have to match that dog with folks that can handle him, and we also have to teach him that pulling is not going to get you what you want. That walking politely is going to get you what you want. So working through the tools that are effective for that particular dog to teach him not to pull is important to have a full toolbox, because if one tool doesn't work, then what are we going to do? We can only have that dog walked by the biggest, burliest volunteer we have. That doesn't work. Our dogs get out a minimum of 3 times a day, so we rely on volunteers of all sizes and all ages to help us out with that, because there's no way it could be done with just staff. So we do believe in having a full toolbox and being able to use any tool at our disposal in order to affect that behavior change that we need in order to get to rewardable behavior, to teach the dog what it is they need to do in order to get the cookie, or maybe the distance from me, right? If I'm terrifying, maybe teaching you how to get away from me safely is what's going to be rewardable. So using all the tools at our disposal is really important, and we teach our clients and our adopters the same thing. We really want to assess the dog's needs and match that up the best as we can with the adopter and the tools that are available.